So I guess I'm on a roll. Got a lot to say. Been quiet for a long time. Um, so yeah. So when I woke up from a nap, during all this letting go and change cycle stuff, the interesting weekend I'm having, when I woke up from all this dreaming and stuff, like, I don't. Okay, so I was logged into this account, which is my Rayma DeRosa account, and a YouTube notification popped up for Kendrick Lamar, United in Grief. Like, I don't listen to music like that very often, mostly because it's low vibrational. The lyrics are low vibrational. The music is low vibrational. It's all fucking low vibrational. Like, I just don't fuck with it much. But, sometimes these artists will come through with some real lyrics and some real stuff. So I was like, wow, the title caught my attention. That's what got me. I was like, okay, so I'm waking up from this dream about one of the biggest things that I've been dealing with for the past several years, which is grief. And Kendrick Lamar has this song. Spirit wants me to listen to this song, United in Grief. And I think that's important because first of all, I did listen to I listened to the video. It was a very interesting collage of different sounds, for sure. Which that resembles grief. And we all grieve different. But the lyrics were on point. I felt a whole lot of that. A whole lot of it. I could relate to a whole lot of it. So it was solace. It was nice for me to experience that. And yeah, so United in Grief. Grief is something that, and the irony of that is that in grief we can unite. A lot of times with grief, you feel like you're so alone. Like nobody else is going through what you're going through. And it's very isolating. You don't want to, sometimes, like, I didn't want to move. I couldn't get myself up out of the bed. I could not go through with things that I needed to do for myself daily because I was just like in my head about it. The voice in my head was just yammering about it. And especially like with my brother's death, with his murder, there was a lot of shit there. A lot of shit with a lot of shit. And and all that shit would come up, and I would get angry about it all over again. Like, God, where's your fucking justice? Where is the love? Where's the peace? I did everything I could. I was self-controlled in dealing with these fucking people and their greed and their lying and their maliciousness and their slandering and their threatening of my life even. So there was and then when I seem to be getting on track the best and have a couple of good days of great productivity and like catch up everything that I've been like missing or procrastinating about because of this grief and these feelings I have with the grief, then it would hit me again. Like, oh yeah, you thought you was gonna get up? Bam, bitch. Back again. Like, you don't need to do anything with your, we're going to, grief is one of the most debilitating spirits I've ever dealt with. Like, you think depression's bad. Depression ain't got shit on grief. No offense, boys. And I do refer to them as male. That they have a masculine feeling. Like, I've never been, I've not been, I've not had female energy treat me that way in my life. That's my personal experience. So yeah, united in grief. Grief can be very isolating. It can be it can be debilitating. One of the things that helped me work through my grief the most, like I grew up in Christianity, in the like the Protestant side of that. I grew up mostly United Methodist, and I've went through several different sorts of Baptists, and just going to different churches over time. I found the most sensible to be the Assemblies of God, out of the Pentecostal department. That's where I found more power of God, more everything of God, where God was less restrained and to do the work that he wants to do, she, that it wants to do. I see God as both masculine and feminine. So, yeah, I've seen the Father. I've known the Father side and the Mother side of God. And it's just the masculine and feminine sides of love. That's the interpretation. God is love, then there you have it. God's just the easiest thing for me to call it. So, if that makes you uncomfortable, take what you need, leave the rest. I'm not here to apologize for my experience. There's no need for me to. If you're offended by something I say, then by all means move the fuck on, turn the video off. Don't, I fix my videos right now where there's no comments, so I don't really care to hear anything anybody's got to say, because a lot of people probably coming at me sideways, which I don't really care. That's on them. Usually when you speak the truth, it really hurts. It really not hurts, but it like it really shocks people, and I've had, hey, if you are alive and you're human and you have not had somebody come at you with the truth and it made you mad as hell because you realize, fuck, that's the truth and it's right and I need to change something about my thoughts or my behavior. If you've not experienced that, then I don't even know if you're human. Because I've experienced that more than once. You want to rant and rage against people, and sometimes people will go on with a whole argument, but me, if somebody comes to me with the truth, it might make me mad at first. It doesn't so much anymore as it used to, but mostly because I figure out my own truths first, so I don't need somebody else telling me. I just need like a little confirmation sometimes that I'm on the right track, but or an outside opinion, because sometimes I get too much in my head and inside myself, and so it's like, hey, have you noticed this tendency in me? Have you noticed, what's your observations of me? How does my presence make you feel? Just be honest. I'm asking objectively to see if I'm lining up, and I'm checking in on myself. Get some feedback. But yeah, grief is serious. It's so anyway, things that's helped me with my grief. like I said, I grew up Christian and stuff, and so there's like all this heaven and hell shit, and you know, if you didn't do good, if you ain't saved, if Jesus Christ ain't your Lord and Savior, then you're dying and going to hell. You're gonna burn. If you didn't, yeah, blah blah blah. Mm-mm. That's not my experience anymore. Thank God, right? Like at this point, I don't even know if I fucking believe in hell. I think it's a man-made construct, but at the same time, I believe places like that exist because I have read like personal accounts from people. You know, a divine revelation of hell is a book that I actually read it to my kids too. Of course, I read it first, but like, you know, what are these people? You can hear everything going on down the street. But that's another something I wanted to bring up too. Maybe for a different video. It was on my heart heavy. I had to charge my iPad, so coming back, we're talking about grief. So, so yeah, what helped me the most through, you know, the thought of my mother knowing and having dreams about mama going to heaven and being in heaven and stuff. That was somewhat comforting, but at the same time, my mama's gone. There ain't a soul left in this world that loves me unconditionally like my mama did. I had a good mama. I know some people ain't that fortunate. My mama was a mama to everybody she encountered. Young, old, whatever. She was a force of maternal goodness, greatness, and nurturing. And so, you know, and I was kind of upset for the longest, for probably like the first year after she died. I forget how long it was. It was right before I left Augusta and started on my journey. But I happened to be living downtown, which I actually asked, you know, like, I was like, I'd like to live in downtown Augusta, like right around the corner from a Dollar Tree so I don't starve to death. Before I leave Augusta. And sure enough, I had some friends that had a friend that needed a house sitter, so I got to I got to do that, exactly that. And so it was in that neighborhood that I was walking around one day, and there was this old black man, and he was a Vietnam vet, and he was a gifted man. He was very gifted with sight. And he asked me, he's like, do you hate your mama? And I was like, sir, my mama's passed. She's going on. He said, yeah, but do you hate her? Did you hate her? And I was like, no. I was like, I loved my mama with that, you know, with everything in me, but like she made some choices and decisions that weren't right for us, even though she thought it was the best. And so I don't, you know, I have some anger I've not let go with about that, maybe. Some, you know, some issues that had come up and stuff. And he's like, your mama is right here with you. And he looked right beside me, and he's like, she doesn't want you to be angry with her. She thinks you hate her, and she's wondering why you're so mad. That changed a lot for me. Because I knew it. I could sense and feel mama, but like where Christianity had taught me that where Christianity, because let me tell you, I read the Bible and the Bible didn't say shit about people going on up to God or spirits going anywhere. And I was like, wait. If the dead in Christ don't rise until he comes back, then where the fuck are all their spirits? And if they get a new body and a new life, then what's the point in them staying with the earthen vessel? Like, they were questions, and they still questions. But Christianity taught me that my mom was gone, that she was in heaven, that there was no more contact with my mother and with her spirit. And for this man to tell me that he could see, me growing up being Claire everything and growing up in Purgatory Hollow, for God's sake, it was most definitely purgatory. Lots of spiritual traffic there all my life, so I was used to it. I've been used to it. It's just normal. Like normal for me. So for him to point out that my mother was right here with me and wanted to help me, wanted to guide me, wanted to work with me and help me through this passing of hers from one life into the next. Because I was stuck. I was really stuck. I lost everything. I lost everything eventually. I mean, there was a series of unfortunate events, but yeah, I wound up losing everything because I just couldn't. And that's why I was house sitting for somebody, because I was homeless as fuck. But for him to make that connection and to point that out to me, so I started working with Mom. Started talking with her, to her, having conversations with her, just like she's here. Just like she's sitting beside me and I'm still talking to her, just like she was in her body, but there was nobody there. Just a spirit. So that changed a lot. And then after I started out on my journey, I was in the Bay Area in California, San Francisco, and I was at a hostel there, and they had like kind of like a free library. So sort of you kind of take a book and leave a book, or they're house books and you're supposed to leave them there, but sometimes you just Spirit says take it, you take it. And so I came across Michael Newton. He's a hypnotherapist. He was a hypnotherapist and doctor, psychiatrist in California, and he had written a book that was a compilation of not even studies, but just the observations and the reports that his clients gave him and the work that he did with them and what they experienced. And after reading that book and these experiences called Journey of the Souls, I came to the conclusion that I had been right all along, that there is reincarnation, and that it even talks about reincarnation in the Bible. When the spirit of Elijah came back as John the Baptist, that's literally right there in the Bible. You can't deny it unless you just want to be a fucking Christian about it and deny the truth right in front of your face when you got Jesus like, hello. But anyway, so I read that book, and that brought me so much peace, so much understanding that I already had, but it just, like, when you know something, you don't know how you know it, but you know it, you feel it, and you know it's true, but you kind of need a third party validation, or, you know, somebody else to say, hey, yeah, I know this to be true as well. So to have this book full of people who had experiences, you know, that's a lot of witnesses there. So, and he's got other books and stuff too, and so that really helped me. It helped me in helping my dad cross over the Rainbow Bridge in 2019. I don't remember the year that my mom passed. I literally, I have her death certificate with me, but I don't look at it. I've not been able to look at it since I saw that the cause of death was fucking sepsis. Basically infection. There's no way in hell my mother should have died from infection. So that's like my mother was neglected to death. Honestly, truly, that's what happened to my mother. She was neglected to death by my dad and by the people who, you know, the medical people, because I damn sure ain't calling these son bitches professionals. Her caretakers. If she'd had hospice, it'd have been different, but they didn't think. I don't even want to get into it, but anyway. Not in this video. There's more later, I'm sure. Because I know a lot of people have dealt with wrongful deaths, malpractice, small town bullshit. Anyway, so that book, Journey of the Soul, Michael Newton, really, really helped me, and helped me to help Dad cross over. Although I did bring it back to, you know, Jesus with him. Apparently, like, we even had, like, this guy that was like an older brother kind of to me, in my eyes. Dad had kind of been a dad for him, even when he couldn't be a dad for us, which I get that now. That's kind of one of the generational curses we're working on here. But he'd even said, you know, he was blown away when I was talking about Jesus and God and stuff having to do with Dad's death and stuff, and he was like, he's the one that, like, taught me to, you know, he's the one that showed me something different, so now I didn't, so I stopped believing in God or Jesus or whatever. And I was like, wow, that's fucking, what tangent did Dad get off on? You know, what kind of fucking evil demon ass motherfuckers took over him? So, like, yeah. Because my dad, when he was doing good, he was teaching Sunday school. You know? Seemed like every time he'd get going doing good, he'd get those headaches from the enemy or from whatever, and it was debilitating. And so anyway, so it was a bit of a surprise to me. I was like, really? Like, I never really thought Dad wavered from his core belief, you know, no matter what he saw or learned about anything, that he still held fast to Jesus, if nothing else, because Dad was the type of person, he wasn't about all these hypocrites in church houses either. But especially the ones that gossiped about it and slandered him and want to go around talking about all the bad he was doing, but didn't want to, like, reach out and say, hey, can we pray for you? Can we help you? Can we help your family in any way? Yeah, nobody was there. And if they were, then Dad was probably too proud to accept it. Any help. There's still a lot of stigma around getting help for anything. And most people don't think about getting help for grief and like grief counseling and stuff, but it's a serious issue, and you definitely should. If you find that your grief is like, if you find grief is like stopping you from living your best life, then you really need to seek help. Seek help. Find online groups. Find online, find grief counselors. Search it out. Whatever feels right for you. Everybody's different. Everybody's grieving process is similar yet different. Because we all come from different backgrounds with different DNA and different. We're just all uniquely and beautifully and wonderfully made different. So, so just go with your gut and feel it out and get help. I really hope that that my brother's daughters have been in grief counseling. My kids went through divorce care for kids, which is a form of grief counseling, because there's grief when you have the death of a family, when you have a divorce, a death of a dream, death of a marriage, death of a family. It's, nothing's ever going to be the same again. There's a separation, which is all death is a separation, a transition. So, yeah. But yeah, grief is real. And so anyway, Journey of the Souls, what's next? Dad. Okay, so even though I had that in my tool belt, so to speak, it was really hard because I left. I was grieving so much when I left. After my dad passed in 2019, because I had been living in California and I had went back to go to my son's 8th grade graduation and wound up I gave my dad my word when I was a kid. It's like, even if I have to get a yard barn, Dad, you're not going to a nursing home. He begged me, please don't ever send me to the nursing home. He sent his dad to the nursing home. He sent my mom to the nursing home. He sent his mom to the nursing home. And then she wasn't having it, so they wound up, they made a way for Mama Ruth to, like, die, wither away in her own home instead of in a fucking nursing home. And so yeah, but that was I kept my word, and I was like, Dad, I ain't got nothing else. And I even told my brothers, like, hey, how's Dad doing? I'm not able to get him on the phone. What the hell's going on with him and stuff. And John was trying to get that stuff straightened out, and Katie was trying to get John to put Dad in a home and get Dad out of the way. And Katie is my brother's baby mama. He would never marry her. He'd have died sooner if he had her. And so anyway, that summer I wound up grieving the loss of my dad. The fact that it was just me and my brother from there on out, kind of felt like we were orphaned in a way, and like it was just us. And then my brother, God love him, I love him, he was not in a good mental state with the things that he was doing with his life, and he was having issues with his family and stuff too. So there was a part of him at that time that wanted to challenge me and make me look like a goddamn fool. on Facebook and just really do some narcissistic bullshit ass abuse. And I learned in California they don't nobody treat me like that. And just because somebody is your family does not give them the right to mistreat you. If anything, your family is the people that should treat you the best and should fuck up anybody else that's trying to treat you some type of way. You know, that's the way it should be. And all too many times I've seen, you know, your family that you were born into or raised with is the ones that treats you the worst. While you can go out here to the rest of the world and they'll take you as you are. You know, not all places and people, but like you'll find your tribe out there. But and people who like know what love is, know how to be decent to each other, and that family means family. Family don't mean we stab each other in the back and abuse each other and talk down to each other. That's not family. Definitely not family friendly. But anyway, and so I created a boundary. And I set a boundary and he crossed it, and it was like, you know, I love you. I took care of Dad. I went to court with you and Katie, made sure y'all had your protection order and your restraining order in place, and that's it. I need to go to discipleship school because that's what I was doing before I stopped to deal with all this fucking mess, you know. So yeah, I took care of my dad until all that, you know, and then after Dad passed, that happened with my brother, and so honestly, I was not allowed by spirit to communicate with my brother until 2 weeks before he passed. He was on a ventilator, and I love you were some of the last words we said to each other. I call my firstborn because he was my firstborn, but my brother was my first child. I raised my brother. He was my baby, just as much as he was Mama's baby. And I was charged at 4 years old, with looking after him and protecting him and raising him. And I took that seriously, which I don't think you should put that on a child. From what I read now, it's not very healthy. Children should be allowed to be children. But anyway, so that summer, you know, I was grieving Dad's passing. I was grieving, you know, the fact that I could not have a healthy relationship with my brother at that time. I was grieving the fact that I could not do more to help him and to help his daughters. The fact that I had spent the whole fucking summer 20 minutes from my children and barely got to see any of them. Barely got to see any of them. It's one thing when I'm off away on the other side of the fucking continent. Not being able to see my kids, but when I'm 20 minutes away from my kids and their grandmother, who's their legal guardian, does everything she can to keep them away from me. And like, yeah, that's just so fucked up. So I was grieving that as well. And then when I did, you know, when Dad passed, I got the IRA, my part of the IRA that my mom had left for me. And that's what I went to school on. That's what I lived on. That's what I took care of my truck and insurance with. That's what I bought my clothes with. That's what I invested in talented people with. It's what I did God stuff with. It's what I reached out to people with. And yeah, I have no regrets about I invested the whole thing. The whole thing. You know, and I don't regret one bit of it. You know? Yeah, I went through 56,000 in less than 6 months. But I wasn't working or anything, and I wasn't investing. I prayed about it, asked God, and He's like, "No, just do what I tell you to with it. Just do it. You need to know what this is like to be able to." And I was like, "Okay," and I did, and I remember that, and now I'm like getting myself back to that from rock bottom. Like nobody's handing me a damn thing. Nobody's handing me a damn thing. If anything, I've not been paid what I'm worth. But oh. But anyway, so grieving that, I go out to California to start discipleship school, and as soon as I get there, like literally the night I rolled in, I popped up my Facebook and saw that there was a memorial service for one of the people that I was like so happy to be going back home to, and he was hanged. He was an amazing man, a protector of the women and children on the streets. And yeah, he was hanged. And so that loss too as well. So I was like getting hit hard with grief. Getting hit hard. And just one thing after the other. And then we damn near lost Sarah. She was one of my roommates. Damn near lost her to spinal meningitis. If I hadn't have took her to the hospital, they said if I hadn't took her to the hospital when I did, that it would have took over her body, and because they found it when they tapped her spine, they couldn't figure out what was wrong with her, and then because of her medical records, they decided to tap her spinal fluid and see if they could find anything in there, and that's where they found it. And so they said that it saved her life. Me making sure she went in because she was having headaches and stuff. And yeah, so there was a lot of stuff. And then we lost a few people on the street as well, from my street family. When I say street family, I'm talking about those of us who lived outside, the homeless folks, the home bums, the traveling kids, the dirty kids. We all, the undesirables is what they call them here in Salem. I think that's ridiculous. We were a group of, there were some people that still going through their issues. We were all figuring ourselves out, and we were doing it as a family. So it was just like, we allowed each other to express ourselves, and I learned so many healthy family ways from people on the street, from my street family. And okay. Oh, it's 12:52. Yeah, they've let out. They are letting the kids out. I say the kids because the bar closes at 12:30. Lights on, pay your tabs, get out, go home, be safe. Yeah, it comes early around here. I'm used to it being 2 o'clock in the morning. Last call is 2 o'clock in the morning. But it's different around here, and I understand why. It's because I'm sitting in my room, in my house. Even if I didn't have the windows up, I would still be able to hear a lot of that. And so it's really residential around here, as well as in the middle of town. So they are aware of that, and so there's no I mean, it's Salem. Like, do you really want a bunch of drunk people running around at the witching hour? No. No. You don't want a bunch of drunk people running around. So you want them out at 12:30, so they'll be home by 1:30, and then when the witching hour starts at 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, and the spirits are, going about and stuff and doing things, then everybody's already tucked in, passed out in their own homes, hopefully, Um, so yeah, because that's a reality. Spirits be on fleek during the witching hour. A lot of stuff happens. Doesn't matter what religion or what you do or don't believe in. It's real. They say the darkest hour is just before dawn. It truly is. It's when the veil is the thinnest. A lot of people wake up and have their spiritual time like right before dawn. There's a reason for that. It just naturally happens. Yeah, there's a reason for that. But yeah, so grief. So yeah, I went into and then to come back, if I hadn't went on that mission trip, like I came back, did discipleship school, started that like in October, then in March we went to Nicaragua on the trip, and if it hadn't been for that trip, and if it hadn't been for that lady prophesying to me that, and one of my friends from the trip, our interpreter, he's actually, he had the footage on his, so it's recorded. There's a video of it, of her telling me, God said that your brother belongs to him and that his mind has been healed. The two biggest prayers I had for my brother was that he would belong to love and that he would have his mind, that his mind would be healed. Because my brother, did a lot of meth, and that fucks with your mind. Fucks your mind up a lot. So that gave me solace, and I was like, yes, I'm going to be able to not worry about what the hell's going on in Kentucky, because I know the kids are reasonably safe. And, I can build myself up and be missionary and, being a missionary wherever God calls me to, because I don't have to worry about my brother. He's going to be okay. A couple weeks later, I get a phone call. And about a month or so after that, he's gone. Like nobody. It was just like with Mama. Just like with Mama. Talked to her 2 weeks before she died too. Told her how much I loved her. And then nobody would tell me how she was doing or call me to come in and say, hey, you need to come home. Nobody called me. Not for Mama, not for John. I would check. I'd be like, oh, well, we're doing this and that. But we've got everything okay. Because I thought he was just going to pull out of it because the message I got from God. I didn't expect my brother was going to cross over. What the fuck? I thought he was going to live. He's got 3 babies. He's got 3 little girls. He's got children. And it was like the people that was closest to him is the ones that kind of neglected him and kind of kicked him on over in the grave. And that was really hard. It was really hard for me. It was really hard for me because that's my, They even died the same fucking weekend. They both died Father's Day weekend. How about the irony of that? So, it was like, I'd always thought, if I get an opportunity again to do over, if I have this opportunity come up, like the ones that I missed, like I felt like I should have done with Mom, and I should have been more, there was always that fucking voice in my head, the one that I'm starting to work on dealing with, that, when I think to do something, it says, nah, don't do that, like, blah, 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 fear, 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 sabotage, 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 critical judgment here, there, everywhere, blah, 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 yeah. And so, had I just followed my fucking gut, my fucking heart, and my fucking spirit, who knows? At that point, I felt like I could raise my brother from the dead. He'd been dead his body had been dead. His body had been dead for 3 fucking days, and whenever I went down in the basement of the funeral home and started speaking, his fucking eyelids twitched. And I was like, damn. And so it kind of eats me up like a little bit. Should I have run everybody out of there like Jesus did with Lazarus and called him back? And let them all get fucked up? Because when my brother come back, when John Boy come back, there was going to be a lot of people in a lot of damn trouble. There was going to be a lot of people in a lot of damn trouble. Because they tried it. Because they killed him. And so, and, I've had dreams and stuff, and my brother's come and talked to me, and we've had conversations and stuff and things, and I don't know how or when, but I know he's coming back. And when he does, we will take back what is ours. Yes, sirree. And we won't have to take it by force. We just take it by right. And I'm not even concerned about it right now. I really ain't. Everything. 5 generations. 5 generations of my family on that farm. And I can't even go up there without the law being called on me. On my own farm that I technically, by Kentucky state law, should be owning 2/3 of. But yet, I don't. Because all the lawyers in town told me they couldn't help me. They didn't want to help me. And that's going to be to their detriment. If they had actually paid attention, they would know how beneficial it is to be behind a Gwen. Because you win when you support Gwen. And when you fuck a Gwen over, you lose your position forever. Forever. So, yeah. And there's a whole story behind that, but not one that I'm gonna divulge in this video. I'll save that for a different form of media. And grief. There's a lot of anger, disbelief. I grieve. I grieve a lot. I grieve the relationships that I wanted to have with my children. There's a lot of grief with that. But all I can do is work with what I got. And right now, all I got is me. And I'm building myself up from rock fucking bottom, dude. Rock bottom. And I'm doing it, you know. I'm doing it. I rolled into town with everything I owned in my truck. I slept in parking lots for a while. While I worked. You know. 3 days after I was here. You know, I gave myself 3 days to recuperate from being on the road for about a week. From Florida to here. But gave myself a couple days. Got myself a job. And I've been working pretty much ever since. At one job or another. I've had technically 3 jobs since I've been here. My current job I've had since I think August of last year. And I love it. And I'm building myself up in my own businesses and my own ventures. And so I'm doing both. You know, I'm doing it all by myself. I drove myself to the ER today. I was the one that walked the steps it took. Because, like, I'm not signing up for DoorDash and all that. No, I'm just not. I'm not that injured. I'm not. I mean, I could, but that's a lot of extra money. Just to get food delivered to me when I can, like, walk around the block and go get it. When I'm not going to the grocery store. But, you know, I've worked my way up. And I've had to work through the grief. With the grief. Around the grief. You know, sometimes you just gotta pick that shit up and, put it in a box. And set it over there to the side. And get done what you gotta get done. And then when you have a moment to sit down, when you've stabilized yourself, and you got a moment to sit down and kind of work through that box and see what you got in there and work through it a little bit at a time. That's kind of what that's kind of what I've been doing. And it's kind of like Spirit's saying now, it's like, okay, it's time to work on through it. So, like, even though I read the book Journey of the Souls and I knew in my heart that those things were true to me and my understanding of life, death, and the afterlife. It's like I had forgotten, or like there was a part of me that refused to allow myself to apply that and to remember and apply that. Because the pain was so great with my little brother. And like I literally felt him die. I felt him die when he died. And like it was fucking horrible. Because I've felt death before. I got so depressed, I fucking started going out. I started dying. I was like, oh my God. Who's going to raise my kids? Who's going to show my kids the way, the truth, and the life if I'm gone? If I'm gone, they ain't got a fucking hope in this world unless you've got a whole cool lineup that I don't even know. And I know you can do that, God, but I feel like I need to be an integral part of that, you know? And so I came back. But yeah, I felt my brother die. And it took them 3 hours to call me after he died. 3 motherfucking hours. And it was very disturbing. Everything around that. Which is for another time, another video, another media. But it was like the pain was so great that I couldn't allow the balm of the truth that I knew to be true about spirits and crossing over and reincarnation. And like I couldn't, like it just hurt so bad I couldn't allow that to really take hold for the longest time. And here I am 2 years, coming up on 2 years he's been crossed over. 2 years. Like, goddamn, where did time go? I lost it. I don't know what happened in those 2 years. All I know is that I'm doing right now what I intended to do before my dad died and before my brother died. I'm doing those things now. Like, I took a time out to go bury my people. And the Bible even says, you know, Jesus was telling his disciples, let the dead bury the dead. You know, don't worry about what's going on at home. It'll be what it is, and it'll be took care of. You just follow me and don't worry about it. That's a hell of a lot easier said than done. And it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. But I know I'm doing the right thing for myself, for my kids, even though it don't seem like it or look like it sometimes, and for humanity. That's all I know. That's all I know so far. So yeah. But so anyway, as I'm going through stuff and things and whatnot, I come across this book. Oh yeah, I went to go look for a book that I went to look in the shop, my favorite bookstore. And they had when I first got to town here, it was the first bookstore I visited, and they had this book called The Art of Psychic Reiki by Lisa Campion. And turns out, like, as I'm reading, anyway, so I go back in there here recently looking for another book that she wrote, hoping that, they would have it, because I seem like I remember them having it at some point, and I didn't get it, but I went back in to get it because I'd rather buy local than buy from Amazon. And so they didn't have it, but what they did have was all these books on grief and stories of the afterlife and stuff. So I was like, okay, had my pendulum ready, helped pick me out the ones that I needed, and one of them happened to be by this lady who is actually a facilitator of and worked with Michael Newton. And so it's like the continuation of his work and stuff, and she references that kind of stuff. Let me see if I can. Is it on this shelf? One of them I got was more along the Christian lines, but the lady's not exact. I don't know what the lady. I don't know if the lady understands life after death and stuff, because she died. And there's like even an excerpt on one of the Netflix series about life after death from her. It's Dr. Mary Neal. Oh, did that book get down? I hate when my books get down. To Heaven and Back by Mary Neal. The fact that her name was Mary, and I don't know, it was just weird. I don't know if I've heard her account before or what, but it all sounded super familiar. And then, like, I watched it on Netflix as well as part of a series that was on there, and then something else. Oh, and then along with that set, I got doors to past lives and future lives. This is how to check into it yourself, where you don't need somebody else to like hypnotize you and help you regress back through. It's I don't know if it's for everybody or not, but it's I'm to a level right now where I'm comfortable. I think I'm comfortable with doing it myself. All my life I've thought, oh my God, I need to do hypnotherapy and go back to my past lives and figure out what the fuck happened to me. Go back to my childhood and figure out what the fuck traumatized me so bad that I'm the way I am. And then the ultimate guide to channeling. I met another reader who works at one of the local shops, and she's like, that's going to be a great one for you. You're going to love that. But shoot, where is that one? You see, this is why I got to clean my room. Because my books are all scattered and I don't know. There's one in here. No, that's not it. Where is it? Okay. Here's the energy healing. Oh, there it is. I've looked over it like 3 times. It was just because for some reason I thought the cover was a different color. It's called Healing from Great Loss by Anne J. Clark, PhD, RN. This is a book you need to read. If you've had any kind of great loss in your life, there's lots of great stories in here. There's exercises, visualizations, journal prompts, everything in here. It says, whether you have lost a loved one, a relationship, a job, a sense of security, or your independence, Healing from Great Loss gently reveals how to find the lesson embedded in the experience and how self-care, forgiveness, and spiritual growth can restore your zest for living. This is what set me back on track. And then when I get like part of the way through it and realize that she's like part of former president of the Michael Newton Institute, I was like, what? It's like, is that the same guy? And then I get to reading it, and yeah, it's the same guy. So like 2 times in my life when I have been really struggling with grief and great loss, the same information comes to me. That's not a coincidence. That is real. Confirmation's coming too for me. I'm super. This thing is going on for. I've been on here for an hour. It's like some people's like, oh, I don't have an hour. Well, I mean, like, you don't have to like sit here and watch me talk. You can just listen. I got so many people that always be like, will you just talk? Something about your voice just calms me. I like to listen to you talk. Can you just tell stories? And I'm like, sure. I used to do my grandma the same way. Mama Ruth, tell me a story about the good old days. I don't think I do that with my mom as much. Because, well, Mama Ruth's life was a lot easier. My dad's mom. Her life was a lot easier because she grew up in one of the richest families in the county. Her dad was a sheriff. Back during the Prohibition and all this stuff, which was ironic as fuck because all his sons turned out to be alcoholics. And my other grandmother, my mom's mom, she had lost her mother when she was in middle school. So Ma just had like a 6th grade education, but she was smart as a tack. Ain't nobody on this planet could beat my Ma at checkers. I don't give a fuck. You couldn't beat Ma at checkers. I don't care who you was. Ma was a checker champ. And not only that, but she was famous for her homemade apple pie, fried apple pies, like over 3 counties. Like, I come from a line of famous home cooks, so Like, people been enjoying our food across counties for a while, you know. When I was married, his cousins and their friends would come up, you know, come from the next county or two over, but they'd call up like, hey, we got some bud, can we come smoke this weekend? Can we come hunting this weekend? Mary Todd got those pickles. Can we come? We got smoke. Can we come eat? So you know, it was a thing. You know, it was, you know, they'd go out, kill a deer. I'd put it in the roasting pan on top of the wood burning stove. Like, we homesteaded. We really homesteaded. We like lived two generations before our time. And so our kids grew up knowing, you know, understanding and learning how to garden and grow their own food, how to preserve their own food, canning and all that, how to hunt and fish and harvest herbs and wild mushrooms and stuff. So, like, you know, when the lights go out and everybody else is freaking out, my kids are like, and? Me and my ex-husband did do a few things right with our kids. We didn't fuck them completely up, or we at least didn't fuck them up. We didn't fuck the raising up too much. We did at least teach them things that they would need to know in the event of a zombie apocalypse, or if Jesus came back and people started going crazy, you know, if the world started to end, if an asteroid hit, you know, just whatever. You know, you gotta prepare your kids. And like, there's like kids out here that don't know nothing. It's frightening, and I'm like, oh my God, and these are the people that are supposed to be running the world, and they don't know how to run nothing but a fucking phone app. Jesus help us. Anyway. But yeah, so I'm a storyteller, and I tell my story. Spirit's been after me to do that for a long, long time, and so these videos are like bits and pieces of me being able to do that, because right now I have projects that I've started on, but I am having trouble bringing myself to complete them just yet, because I want to be in a place of peace and serenity where I can actually sit down for a period of time and be able to focus fully on opening that box that I've set aside and going through all the notes in my heart, in my mind, of my experience, and writing them out then. So, yeah. In due time. And I think also, you know, part of the healing is being able to heal and then be able to look back in retrospect and tell the story a little bit more objectively, with not so much passion, rage, and feeling, you know, like, you know how when you get your feelings all up in something, the story's a little bit more embellished than what the facts are, you know. I want the details, but not like, you know, oh, that didn't sound good. But, sounds like a truck with a truck bed with some stuff in it, like hitting the potholes. Man, the potholes up here are fucking ridiculous. As much as people pay for parking up here, they should owe everybody a fucking yearly alignment, because they ain't fixing the roads much. I mean, they've got pieces that they have to fix when they have to fix them, but this place is so old that it's just like, oh my God. It's worse than trying to drive up the hills in Humboldt County to get to your farm. Like, that ain't got shit. Those washed out old truck bed with big gravel road. No, that ain't got shit on these potholes in Salem. Oh, when I finally leave, when I finally like relocate, that's something that I'm really like, how am I going to, I'm going to wait until then to get everything realigned and get new tires and everything, and then very carefully drive out of here. So yeah, I'll come visit in October maybe. I don't know. I don't like it when it's so crowded you can't find nothing. And if I don't have a residence parking permit, you know, I hate paying for parking. This is the first place I've ever lived in all my life where you've got to pay for parking to go to your job. To go to work every day, you pay for parking. If you drive your own vehicle. What the fuck, dude? Just what the fuck? Like, there should be an exemption for that at least. You know, I understand charging the tourists and people just out and about and whatever, but like, for real, if you're working, you shouldn't have to pay parking. That's hateful to me. That's my opinion. But yeah. Storytelling. What else? I kind of got off on a rabbit trail there. But yeah, this is me being vulnerable, being open, and hope that the information, the experiences that I share with people are able to help people. And if they don't help you, maybe you can help somebody you know. Like, hey, you know, I've been doing that all the time. Like, oh my God, I watched this video, and I think it would help you, you know, and I send it to people, you know. So, hey, whatever, whichever way it fits. Yeah, whichever way it fits, because the world needs healing out there, and if me sharing my story can help other people, like other people sharing their stories have helped me, then I want to be a part of that ripple effect, you know. And here right now, like, my whole sinuses has been like, I'm starting to get to where I can hear myself and stuff. But my sinuses are still jacked up a little bit. My allergies. It's just seasonal. And I don't know what the heck this is up here that bloomed out. But man, my body's like, oh, we ain't never had none of this before. What is this? Like, okay. Don't know what it is. But man, it has roughed me up. Yeah, it's about 1:30 in the morning again. But see, I took that nap earlier, so I'm awake. And that's okay. And we've got about an hour and 13 minutes. Wow. So, yeah. Now I'm trying to think about what... Oh, yeah, this one's about grief. I'm, like, thinking about what I'm going to try to entitle this. I might even hashtag it with United in Grief. Might even put that in the title. Just so it'll catch people. I don't know. You know. Because that's part of that would be cool. You know, if we could all, you know, give our stories about grief and how we're working through it or how we're not working through it. and hashtag them United in Grief. I think that was the name of his song. Yeah, United in Grief. Yeah, that would be cool because then we would be uniting in our grief. And it's when you're united that you find your power. You know, when you know you're not the only one just struggling, swimming upstream by yourself. When you know you've got a whole group of people that's out there with you, that you're not alone, you know. That's really important. That seems to be what the dark forces or enemy, whatever you want to call it, if you believe in such things, that's what they seem to like to do, is make you think you're isolated, that you're by yourself. And that's why so many people commit suicide, because they think they're by themselves. They think don't nobody understand. And that's not fair. People need to know that they're not alone. And that there are people out there that understand, because like, it's hard growing up with people. Like I literally, I'm just going to touch on it a little bit. I'm not going to get in depth in this video because it's already, you know, a good piece long. But it's like you can listen to it and be doing other stuff at the same time. So, like, that's what I learned to do with people that I like watching their videos, but their readings are an hour long. You know, don't matter. It's like we just all sitting there having a good time talking. Except mine's not live right now, and yeah. But earlier I could hear people fussing and fighting. Not fussing, one was crying. It was like there was 3 of them. Sounded like 2 girls and an older woman. And they apparently were family. And the one was just being a cunt. She was being an out and out cunt. I damn near hollered out my window. If it hadn't been 11 o'clock at night, I would have hollered out my window, "Stop being a cunt!" You know? But, you know, I've got to respect the fact that I've got other people that are right, you know, I'm sitting looking out my window and I'm seeing 1, 2, 3 windows right there, so I know if I can hear them through the wall, we can hear them through the window too. Yeah, and then the other girl, she was just crying her eyes out. She was like, "You fat bitch, blah, 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 you fat, blah, 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 blah." Just verbally abusing the shit out of her. And then the mom was just like, "Would you just shut up? I don't want to hear it." And the poor girl was just bawling her eyes out. And honestly, I'll just slide this right in here real quick, but it made me think of my kids. I didn't let my kids talk like that to each other. Because I remembered talking like that when I was a kid, and I didn't like that. I apologized to my brother several many times. And he's like, he didn't even remember it. And I'm like, oh my God, well, like, we got home videos that, like, I've been embarrassed to watch, like, embarrassed at my behavior and my words. Like, I can't believe I talk like that to you. And, because that was the way Daddy taught us to talk. That was the way he taught me to talk down to Mom and John. And, but anyway, so I didn't allow that shit in my house. My kids didn't talk like that to each other, or they got their ass busted. There was no name calling. Especially after I started getting better and learning about toxic stuff and emotional, mental, you know, abuse and stuff like that. The more I learned, the more I was like, okay, we're setting these boundaries, and this is not okay in this house. This house is a safe place for everybody who lives here, and we are family, you know. And if you want to make it an unsafe place, then you'll be asked to leave. I mean, And that's kind of why I sent my oldest one to my parents' house, was because he made it unsafe for me and my other two children in his early teenage, it wasn't even teenage years. And he started that shit right whenever we left their dad. So, like, but at the same time, hurting people hurt people. So I was trying to learn how to deal with and communicate with that and stuff. So it helped a lot when I changed their diets, took all the extra sugar out. But yeah, I've and it makes me think of things that I hear them say to each other, because that's the way it is in their dad's family. Their dad's family is A-okay with everybody just running each other in the ground with their words and talking ugly to each other and talking ugly at me and to me and about me and like whatever. Like, not only that, but I know how my son talked to my daughter, and it just really it upsets me very much so. And that's what that whole incident triggered in me. Triggered a whole video about that that I may or may not work on tonight. It really, yeah, so that's something that grieves me as well. The fact that my children are not treated the way I wish them to be treated, the way I would treat them. I haven't always been the best parent. I've been a toxic parent. That's one of the reasons why I let my children go and stay with their dad's family. It's because I knew after my mom passed that I was already toxic, where I was trying to heal. I was trying to run everything and do everything. The stress from that was just fucking intense, and trying to heal from it at the same time. Heal from all the like trauma from being married at the same time, and it was very difficult for me. And I didn't want it to be. I didn't want it to be any more difficult on my children. And then I knew, after Mama died, I knew I was going to lose my fucking mind. And I didn't want my kids to see me like that. I didn't want my kids to see me where I couldn't get up out the bed. I did not want my kids to have to wonder why they were sitting at school, supposed to be focusing on their schoolwork and their friendships there. I did not want them wondering about if they was going to come home, the lights was going to be off, or if the water was going to be turned off, or if there was going to be something to eat. I didn't want them wondering where the next meal was coming from. Even though we did it faith-based and they saw that God provided all the time, I just did not want my kids worrying about that. And so I allowed for them to go try something new. I asked them, I was like, do you guys want to come back home, or do you all want to try living up there with your dad's family and going to school up there? They made their choice. I said, good. That's probably the best choice for all of us right now. And that's what happened. But yeah, that ain't nobody gonna raise their voice and talk ugly in my house like that. People don't talk to me like that on the street. When they do, they get in trouble. It's not me they get in trouble with so much as what it is, the spirit world. Or or somebody else will calm down. If you want to talk ugly to me, some of my family will call you down real quick and in a hurry. And my kids don't understand that. They ain't trying to. But someday, when they get curious, here these videos will be. It's the real me, motherfuckers. I love y'all. You know? So no matter what happens, if somebody kills me or whatever, because they want something I've got, or for whatever reason, there will always be these videos. And my kids will be able to have access to them. That's just a reality that's just real in my life. So they'll have the cloud. Thank God for the cloud, right? The iCloud. You know, some of my most important moments in life have not made it to the iCloud. But anyway. Okay. A minute 26. Okay. A minute, yeah. An hour and 26. Okay, so I guess that can be the end of this one. I'm going to try to keep them down to an hour. 30 minutes is goals, but right now I'm just kind of getting started, and it's just rambling. It's not just rambling. It's like I have so much that I had been keeping in. This is like me pulling it out and putting it in this box called YouTube. So, putting it in a tube. Yeah. United in grief. We can grieve a great many things. There's so many different kinds of loss. And, you know, we all deal with it differently. There can all be different ways or similar ways, you know, just because, you know, you didn't lose a person doesn't mean that you can't use the same techniques or exercises to help yourself that someone who did lose somebody. You know, if you lost, you know, sometimes you lose yourself. When you lose your job, your house, and everything you've worked for and built, you know, you kind of lose a part of your identity, especially if that's what you identified yourself in or as. You know? So it's like... yeah. United in grief. That's real. And we grieve different. But we all grieve. And we can all heal. So, yeah. Hope this finds you in your healing or on your path to healing or gets you started on your path to healing. I hope it helps to know that you're not alone in your grief, whatever you're grieving from. And I hope it kind of gives you a few tools, a few books and tools to, you know, help yourself. You know, if you don't have the money to buy these books, you can always look them up in your local library, request them. That's always an option. That's what I usually use whenever I've been on the street and whatever. But there's like a lot of free libraries around the places that I've been homeless at, so that's always a plus because there's always that book that pops up right when you need it, right where you need it. So, yeah. My little libraries I've had that I've donated to these free libraries because I couldn't carry them around anymore. Oh, Lord. I love books. I love having my own little library. And, Yeah, but I also like it to be... It's hard for me to let people borrow stuff, so I just end up giving it to them most of the time. Or vice versa. Like, if I give somebody something, I don't really expect to see it again. If it comes back, cool. But some books is just like, And then I'm like, well, I can always get another copy when I need it. I'll tell you what, though, two books that have made it, oh my god, hour and 30 minutes, if you've made it this far. And I'll be posting these on other videos, too. But the two books that I have kept with me through everything, two of the most important books I've ever read in all my life about dealing with myself and with other human beings. Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. Now, these people do come with a little bit of a... there's... hands down, even though you can kind of hear what they believe in this book, the principles laid down in this book is saving. This will help you so much. And nonviolent communication. I learned about this in California. I had a lady practice it with me, and I was like, wait, what did you just do? How did you do that? What is that? And it's got a lot to do with boundaries. But it's also like nonviolent communication, how to communicate what you need to communicate without being violent with your words. And yeah. It's amazing. I think I picked this up out of a free pile. I was like, what? That book? So what I'm saying to you is whatever you need it, the universe is going to bring it. It's going to be free. It's going to be whatever you need it to be. Whenever you need it to be. So, yeah. I'll probably like do a little short video of books I recommend. And my nose is starting to run, so like I'm gonna cut this video. So I'm not trying to blow my nose on video. That's just, yeah, I'm not ready to be that vulnerable yet. So yeah, I hope this helps, and I wish you the best on your healing journey.